Hi, I'm Melissa Zaffarana. We're here in Larry Gluck's studio where we're going to learn some new and exciting skills. Today I'm going to teach you how to build a drawing and make your pictures come alive. So let's get started. Now I'm going to show you how to hold your pencil like an artist. Go ahead and pick up your pencil. Lay out your other hand like this and put your pencil in it, pointing away from you. Now take your hand and just pick up the pencil with the very tips of your fingers. Bring it to the paper and let the tips of your fingers just rest gently on the board. You can keep the tips of your fingers touching the board as you draw, and that will help to keep you steady. Your thumb should make a nice straight line with your forearm like this. Don't angle it this way. Don't bend it that way. Keep it nice and straight, just like this. That'll be the most comfortable way for you to draw. Rest the fingers on the paper and just scribble some lines. Get comfortable with it. It's going to take a little getting used to it. It might feel funny at first. But the more you do it, the more comfortable it will be. Like that. When we draw, we use simple shapes, like a circle, an oval, a triangle. But you don't have to get these shapes right on the first try, like that. You can go over several times until you get something you're happy with. And just use your eraser to clean up the lines that you don't need or like. Just remember to draw lightly, like that. All right, are you ready to start your first picture? We're going to begin with this little duck. He has a lot of nice, simple shapes. But before we begin our drawing, we need to set an overall size for our finished picture. I'm going to use this picture mat as a frame maker. I'll trace along the inside edges like this. You can hold your pencil any way you'd like to trace in your frame. Follow along and do this with me. There. That looks like a good size. Now we're ready to begin our drawing. So here's what our finished picture is going to look like. But for now, let's just forget about all the color and look at the drawing. There we go. I'm going to show you how to build this drawing using simple shapes. Now this is a step drawing. This will be our guide to creating our finished picture of the duck. It begins with the largest simple shape and works toward the smaller shapes and details. Step 1 is the largest shape, a circle, for the body of the duck. Use your finger to decide how large you want that shape to be on your paper. Make it a little lower than the center of the paper so you have enough room for the head. Now remember how to hold your pencil and go ahead and draw that shape lightly on your paper. Now in step 2, we're going to add the next largest shape, which is the shape for the head. We're going to put it right about here. Notice that that circle is a little bit smaller than the circle for the body. It's also a little bit higher up. Let's go ahead and place that circle. Now I'm going to take a step back and look at it from a distance. It's always a good idea to step back and take a look at your work from a distance. It'll help us to see anything we need to change. Wow, I definitely see that I made my head too low and a little bit too small for the size of the body. I'm going to go back in and correct those errors. I drew my head right here, but it should have been up here, a little bit higher. Before I erase, I'm going to draw the head where it's supposed to be. Right about here. Now that I have the head in a better position, I can erase the other lines that I don't need anymore. Your lines and shapes don't have to be perfect. They'll get better the more you draw. Now I made the head a little too high. It should actually be a little bit lower and still maybe a little bit bigger. Remember, we're not in a hurry. Take your time. Make as many corrections as you need to. Let's go on to the next part in step 2, adding the line where the water meets the duck. I think I'll put it in right about here. Remember to hold your pencil correctly, keep your lines light and loose, and just sketch them lightly across the paper. The last thing we need to do on step 2 is erase the bottom of the duck. See how easily my lines come off the paper? Now let's move on to step 3. Remember, we're working from large to small, so the first shape we'll start with is this wing, here and here. Let's picture it on our paper, where we want it to be, right about here. And now let's go ahead and draw it in. Just 2 simple lines, the top of the wing and right down the side, almost touching the water. All right, let's move on to the next shape. The shape of the tail would be the next largest shape. Notice the relationship of the tail to the wing. See how those 2 pieces fit together? The top of the tail kind of lines up with the top of the wing. Picture that on your paper where you want it to be. And now let's go ahead and put those 2 lines in. Right about here. The next thing we need to draw is the bill of the duck. Right here. Kind of like a soft-edged triangle that just fits onto the front of this circle. Right about like this. So come on and draw it along with me. The top of the beak sticks up just about as high as the top of the head. Just like that. The last thing in step 3 is to erase these lines. Right here. So take your eraser and just take out the lines of the head and the body where they cross over each other. So now let's move on to step 4. In step 4, we're going to add the eye, the cheek, and this little line here that separates the top and bottom halves of the bill. The eye will go right about here, the cheek right under it, and here's that little line for the bill, right about there. Let's go ahead and put those in. When you're drawing a small detail, it's okay to hold your pencil a little bit closer to the tip to give you a little more control. Still keep your lines nice and loose and light in case you need to make any changes. The last thing we need to do is make our water look a little wavy. You don't have to draw the waves exactly like they are in the picture. Just draw a simple wavy line right over the line that you already have, and then take your eraser and clean up the old lines that you don't need anymore. Like this. He looks great. So, in this lesson, we learned how to build a drawing using simple shapes and working from large to small, correcting as we go, keeping our lines light and loose, and working toward the smaller details until we got exactly what we wanted. Keep your drawing for the next lesson where we are going to learn about color.